So why are we talking about the Great Migration? Why are we talking about Clarksdale? So we're talking about this so that we can explain to the audience, you all, the connection between places like Rondo and Clarksdale. And in fact, many people that are from Rondo through the Great Migration can trace their ancestry back to Mississippi.
Now, talking about like this inequality that happened in the past. Now, we like to think that it's over, that most of that's just squashed down. But the I-94 highway to me is like, it still exists today. And that,
Definitely.
yeah.
Right, and so it shows you that no matter where the Black community migrates to, no matter where we flee from and flee to, we're not going to escape systemic racism. That is the system of our country. That's one of the pillars of our country. That's what our country was built off of. So no matter where we go, it's always going to be present. And an example of that is the I-94 highway being built straight through Rondo.
Yeah, destroyed 700 homes, and like it made the ownership in the Rondo community go down by half.
The home ownership, yeah.
The home ownership It caused
Right.
a lot of destruction, and a lot of generational wealth was lost in that. And it's the same thing as what happened in Jim Crow, how white supremacists were bombing towns, displacing people.
Right.
Same thing. The end is the same, just that the only difference is that instead of people wearing white robes and having torches, it's people in big buildings with suits on,
Right,
voting
exactly.
for it.
And I have a story for that. So my grandma, her and her family are from Mississippi, and they had to leave because the KKK knocked at their door, and they were threatening to kill her father if they stayed there. So they had to leave. They had to sell their home and leave. And so they fled to Iowa, where he could find a job at the John Deere factory in Waterloo. So that's just crazy, because like that's just my grandma. So that just really shows you how this is not like some far back history. Like this is like today kind of stuff. Yeah. It is.
Yeah, I think that really goes to show that no matter how far we try to run, no matter where we go, it's just we will be followed by, or not even followed. It's just like you said, it's what our country's built on.
Right, it's everywhere.
The pillar of everything, and it's just like it's seeped into the ground, that the hatred and all the wrongdoings were just inescapable, and it's not even like the people who inflicted that pain. They'll say they're trying to get away from it, and then pass bills into from Congress making the same thing happen,
right.
Or they'll build a highway through a certain neighborhood somewhere.
Right, when there was a better path they could have taken.
Yes, there was a better path.
Explain, please.
I mean,
there's no explanation other than the fact that they're doing it on purpose to bring us down.
I mean,
They'll always find some bullcrap explanation to give, though.
Yeah. First, they concentrate the African American population.
Right, by redlining.
And then they're like, you know what? That's not good enough. We're going to cut a highway through it.
Yeah.
So, but now, I know it's depressing talk, right? But it's talk that needs to be said. But there is hope. Reconnect Rondo, I think, is an example of that. And we're an example of that, of talking about it. So, other organizations like it are hoping to address those wrongs of the past. And I don't know if you guys know this, but in St. Paul, there's a inheritance fund where they assist former Rondo residents or current Rondo residents that lost their homes and buying a new home in the community. I think it's like $100 in a mortgage assistance. So I think there's hope.
Yeah.
There is hope.
Even as someone who's from this community,
right,
and who's lived here for at least what I would consider a decently long time, the first I heard about this was not even last year, earlier this year. I was completely unaware of what went on, of what happened, of what is currently happening. I think, not that it means nothing, right? But I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people see it and don't realize that it actually means something. They just see another project, like it could be gentrification, it could just be, another misleading program that they're gonna say is gonna fix everything and solve all of our problems, but in reality just does nothing to hurt more.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's hope. And as long as we're here to kind of spread that message.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this.
I think people, eventually people will see and realize what it means, and that it's not just for nothing.
So you guys didn't just go to Clarksdale to just view a rental business using sharecroppers. There's, some music in that. And then would you talk about that more?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if we said this already, but we were down in Clarksdale, not for Reconnect Rondo.
Yeah.
But we were there for a trip for HSRA and another sponsor. And when we were down there, we went to a lot of like blues museums, specifically the Grammy Museum, the B.B. King Museum. While we were there, I think we saw a lot of, I don't know. I originally thought it was just going to be music, right? And that's just what it was gonna like be the extent of what we were gonna learn. But then when we were down there and we saw like we were learning about Muddy Waters, we were in the Mississippi Delta Blues Museum, and they had his house. They had his whole house in there, and it wasn't just like a replica. That was his home.
Like an official thing.
Yeah, they. I don't know if that was. It wasn't.
Was
the
it moved
site
there or like?
Yeah, I think they moved it there.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But the wood was real. It was really his house, and it was Muddy Waters' home. That's where he grew up. And being there, made me realize that he was more than just a musician who, kind of like electrified the blues. He was an important role in civil rights because the stories he was telling, and not even just him. The stories all, African American artists from that region had to tell were more than just songs. They were more than just like I don't know. You hear stuff on the radio today that sounds super like catchy and poppy, like it'll catch your ear, yeah. But a lot of the times they don't tell the stories that like Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf will tell. Exactly. Because those stories were about their day-to-day lives, being sharecroppers, being Black Americans, being in Mississippi, having to deal with their with racism, with all the struggles they had. It was more than just music. Yeah. It was what they felt. It was what they lived.
Right. And the Black community has had such an impact on modern day music and all the different genres. But I also feel like it's important to recognize that this is not just, different variations of music. This is not just music genres. This is the way that the Black community expresses ourselves and our lived experiences. And honestly, when I asked the question of, why are we talking about the Great Migration? Why are we talking about Clarksdale? And I said to show the connection between places like Rondo and Clarksdale. I think music is one of those things. And not even just the connection between the Black community of the American North and South, but also just the Black community across the entire diaspora, because the transatlantic slaves trade went all over the Atlantic and Europe and North America, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, and like we're all over these different places, but music is something that really connects all of us. It truly does.
Absolutely.
Right.
Those musicians from Clarksdale, the Blues Highway, which you mentioned earlier, actually runs all the way up to Minnesota, or at least up to I-94. And they kind of converge, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't know my geography, but I know eventually you'll get here.
Yeah, it leads down there.
And right off I-94 is the ballroom, the Rondo Ballroom, where a lot of those musicians came and they played. And not only did those musicians, or did musicians come from Clarksdale, Mississippi, or down south, they also came from here. We have artists that do more than just music. We have like Wee Willie Walker, who came from Rondo. We have who else?
Irv Williams?
Yeah, Irv Williams.
Oh, he moved to Rondo from Arkansas. Yeah. He played the tenor sax.
And then there's so much more than music that comes here. And that comes from here.
Yeah.
Right, it's a culture.
And that just shows you that Rondo was the center of that.
Exactly.
And that was very greatly diminished by the highway.
Right, exactly.
Thank you for watching our podcast. If you like what you see, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get notified when we put out new podcast episodes.